Welcome to The Outlet, an OTG production.
Welcome to the NBA Outlet, presented by OTGBasketball.com. Thanks for listening, whether it's on iTunes, SoundCloud, or YouTube, and be sure to subscribe to us. Follow us on Twitter as well, at OTGBasketball. Joining me on this lovely Saturday afternoon, as always, Mr. Nick Fay. How's it going?
What's up, Parth? I'm doing well. What about you?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm looking forward to this Thunder Warriors game tonight.
Yeah, pre-Super Bowl warm-up right here.
Right. You guys won't be hearing this until Monday, but we're excited about this game. And also, joining Nick and I today, he was a guest a couple of weeks ago, but now he was so good that we want him on permanently. Everyone say hello to Mr. John Aiello. How's it going, John?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to see what the future holds, making this a permanent vacation here on the OTG podcast. Love talking basketball with you guys and looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're happy to have you on, John.
All right, so to start things off, let's go into my weekly recap. And I guess there's nothing else to really talk about besides the Black Mamba himself, Kobe Bryant, who had a pretty spectacular week. I'm looking at the stats right now, and I know he played the Pelicans last game, and he had 27 points, 12 rebounds in a victory. Then they won against the Timberwolves 2 nights before that on a Tuesday, and he had 38 points. 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and he was 47% from the field, 67% from 3. And then against Charlotte on the Sunday, so almost a week ago exactly, they lost that game, but he had 23 points and 8 rebounds. And he was 45% from the field, 50% from 3. I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe he's rethinking retirement now. Maybe he's like, I still got this. Maybe I can do this some more, and I can school these young bloods. I don't know, but it was pretty fun to watch. I didn't watch any of the Charlotte or the Timberwolves game, but I watched a little bit of the Pelicans game, and he looked so confident. He looked electric in the post, like that vintage Kobe hitting fadeaways. It was fun to watch. I hope he has more games like this. I don't think he's actually going to rethink retirement. I think he's sure about quitting after this year, but it's been fun to watch so far.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to see Kobe do this a little bit before he retires. Vintage Kobe, like you mentioned, the Mamba's out for the kill. Looks like he's getting warmed up for that All-Star game.
Yeah, early in the year, it looked like he was throwing the ball at the hoop. It's just like, sometimes when you're a little bit too far from the rim and your legs just aren't there, you kind of push the ball. That's what it looked like earlier in the year. Now it looks more like he's shooting with his natural form. So that's happy to see. I'm happy to see him have his legs back under him and able to put on these kind of vintage performances. So for my weekly recap, I wanted to take a look at the Miami Heat. And last night, Mr. Hassan Whiteside had a triple-double. Of course, he's the only one doing it with points, rebounds, and blocks. And he's mentioned that before. I think he did it on his Twitter timeline. He's a boss on Twitter, so follow Mr. Hassan Whiteside. But this brings up an interesting point and an interesting dilemma that Pat Riley has. So someone this summer is probably going to max out Hassan Whiteside. And the question for the Heat is, should it be them? All the analytics and all the stats point to the Heat being better offensively and I believe defensively without Hassan Whiteside on the court. But from your eye test, it doesn't really look like that's the case because he's so dominant with his blocks and changing shots and that sort of thing. But another thing is, though, when he's out of the game, Goran Dragic can be the dragon. He can run up and down the court. He can get to his spots, get in transition, and it's easier to do without a behemoth like Whiteside just laboring down the court and getting into the paint, although he is a dominant defensive force. So it'll be interesting to see what Pat Riley and the Miami Heat decide to do. Is Hassan Whiteside worth it? Every now and then you'll see games where Miami goes on, or streaks that Miami will go on without Hassan Whiteside. Like just a couple of weeks ago, they won 5-6 in a row. Hassan Whiteside wasn't there for a majority of it. He comes back, they lose. But then you're thinking, all right, well, maybe they shouldn't re-sign him. But then he has games like this where he goes for a triple-double with blocks. So now it's really up in the air. I'm not sure what Miami's going to do. I don't envy Pat Riley's position at this point. Your thoughts on what the Heat should do this summer?
So I know, Parth, we've talked about this many times, but I'm not the biggest Hassan Whiteside fan. I know he's a phenomenal shot blocker and rebounder, and he's an intimidating presence in the post. But the stats point to you are right that defensively they're better without him on the floor, and I think a lot of that goes to how Whiteside is somewhat of a cherry picker on defense in the sense that he kind of just hangs around the rim, doesn't guard the pick and roll that well, doesn't really get to the free throw line when guys are penetrating and try to stop them before they get to the rim. He kind of waits around, and it leaves them vulnerable to like short little mid-range floaters and things like that. And I would actually love to see Miami not re-sign him and spend that money elsewhere. I know he could be their kind of center for the future, but I'd rather see them have a lineup with Bosch at the 5 and then go after a stretch 4 like Ryan Anderson. I think their offense, I mean, if you imagine an offense with Dragic, Wade, Winslow, and Anderson and Bosch, I mean, basically all 5 guys can shoot. I mean, not really Wade and Winslow, but you have 3 consistent 3-point shooters, and you have a few slashers as well. Just as an example, I think that would make the Heat offense so much better. I think Bosch is a good enough rim protector where he can play center consistently, and the Heat would be okay. That's why I almost think maybe they should try and trade Whiteside now before they let him go for nothing in the offseason.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if Miami thinks that he's not in their long-term future, like you mentioned, Dragic plays better without him. The NBA is going towards small ball. I would definitely try to trade Hassan Whiteside before the deadline. Try to get value for him before you lose him in free agency for nothing. Because, I mean, obviously he's an asset to some teams with a shot-blocking ability and his defense. He's a presence in the paint. Maybe just not a good fit for the Heat. So what do you guys think would be some teams that would be interested in Whiteside?
The Lakers? The Lakers, I feel like, will max him out.
100%. Yeah, I mean, I just think the Lakers are hungry for talent and for guys that can put fans in the stands or whatever. Yeah, I think Whiteside would definitely be a candidate for the Lakers this summer.
That's my number 1 spot. It's the Lakers.
Well, do you think the Heat could make a move with the Lakers before the deadline so they get some value for Whiteside before they lose him in free agency for nothing?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Or any team?
What about Boston? Boston was rumored to get to, like, they wanted Dwight Howard. Whiteside essentially does the same things that Howard does. I think Whiteside is a little bit better free throw shooter. But, I mean, Boston has so much in terms of assets. I mean, they're both – Howard and Whiteside are both expiring this year or this summer. So it's like I don't really see the difference. Whiteside's younger. You could get him. And, I mean, I think Whiteside would be a decent fit with Boston. It'd be interesting to see how him and Isaiah Thomas coexist. But I would maybe Boston is. I just feel like they're a trade option for any team because they have so many assets.
Yeah, that's very true. They have a lot of depth too, so they can mix around parts and whatnot. And they got plenty of picks to make a trade, so that definitely could be a team. And like you said, Whiteside's younger than Howard, so it does make more sense.
I personally don't think they move him. I think they're gonna give this a solid go for this year, just because the East is kind of wide open outside of Cleveland, and Toronto's now really stepping up. But we obviously haven't seen the Raptors in the playoffs, and the last couple of seasons they've been disappointing. But I don't think they'll disappoint this year. I think they'll have a deep playoff run. But I think as someone in the East, if you're in that middle spot, I think you play to win here, because the East is as open as it's going to be. There isn't a real dominant team. Cleveland should have been that team, and maybe they end up being that team. But as of right now, I would totally go for trying to get to the finals.
All in for the year. Let's talk about another team. This is my weekly recap. The Sacramento Kings, a team that took a huge jump in the OTG power rankings and now lost 6 of their last 7. And they took a big loss to the Nets last night, 128-119. And there's been reports today that Geoge Karl, that the Kings are considering firing him. What do you guys think about that situation?
I think Karl is kind of in the middle of it just seems like he's in a lose-lose situation. I mean, unless they're like, top 4, like top 5 in the West or something, I just feel like he doesn't really have a shot at keeping his job because of all the issues that him and Boogie have had thus far. And maybe I'm wrong, but I Coach Karl is a good coach, and it's just he's had such a rough, just gotten the short end of the stick with, but now he's most likely going to get it with Sacramento, and he got it with Denver. Sacramento is just, I mean, they've got a lot of chemistry issues, and I think it's wrong to fire George Karl when the whole team and organization has issues. It's not, if anything, George Karl, he's had issues with players before, like Carmelo and Ty Lawson and all that, but if anything, they need to just blow up the entire organization. I mean, it's not just Karl, it's Divac Ranadive and Divac and, getting the entire 2002 Kings team or roster to be in the front office. It's just it's wrong to fire Karl, but you got to hold someone accountable. I just think it's wrong to fire him after he hasn't even been head coach for a year yet.
Yeah, they need to. What actually has to happen is he needs to sell the freaking team. He's not.
Yeah, he does.
Or not. I mean, he doesn't have to sell the team, obviously, but he just needs to keep his hands off. It's a look but don't touch kind of investment that you're making here. Stop touching it.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because, I mean, the crazy thing is the Kings were playing pretty well a week or two ago, and things were looking good. Rondo's having triple-doubles. DeMarcus Cousins went on that tear. But I think the real problem is their defense. I know some people have complained that they haven't made adjustments, and that is on Karl. But some of it, and Karl's called out the players. I think he was on, I want to say, Zach Lowe's podcast, and he said something that the team wasn't intense enough or giving enough energy and effort. So it definitely some tension between the players and the coach right there. So it'll be interesting to see how that season what happens to that team going forward. I know we mentioned in the preview podcast that it was going to be a reality TV show over there.
Yeah, well, I think Karl, the way, kind of like what you just said, to piggyback off that, he kind of handles things in an old school kind of way, and I think that in the way us millennials are, and especially Boogie Cousins and all those guys, they're very sensitive, and I feel like his personality doesn't mesh with the team, and I'm not sure if George Karl really meshes with any of the current NBA, regardless of what the roster would be.
It's a very good point right there. Talking about the current NBA, there's one team that's just killing everybody, and that's the Golden State Warriors. I mean, it was supposed to be a great matchup a week or two ago against the Spurs. They just demolished them. And, I mean, at times it just looks like they're having fun and they can turn it on at any point. Do you guys think anybody can really beat the Warriors in a playoff series this year?
Realistically, I think, yeah, anything can happen. But, statistically, yes. But realistically, no, other than the Spurs, maybe the Clippers, and then maybe the Thunder. But it's just – they're unreal to watch. I can't remember watching a team that has just looked this dominant. Because I was really young when they were in the Lakers, when it was Shaq, Kobe, Rick Fox, Derek Fisher, all those guys. I was really young, so I don't remember too much about that. But they're just demolishing opponents, and they make it look like they're playing street ball. Steph Curry just looks like he's having so much fun. He's just jacking up crazy shots and just doing the things he's been doing since he's been in the league. And it's just I think they're far and away the best team in the last, since those 03 Lakers. I think they would demolish any of the teams from the past, or 2001 Lakers. In the past, 14 years, I think they would demolish any team. I don't think anybody has a realistic chance unless some injuries happen to them. Maybe maybe Steve Kerr throws his back out again or whatever.
So I know we're looking forward to this OKC Golden State matchup tonight. By the way, just real quick, last week I picked OKC. Nick, you picked OKC. John, do you have a pick for this? Just to have it on record, so when we release this Monday, we're all held accountable for our pick.
Yeah. Well, just checking real quick. Okay, so it's at Golden State. I have to go with Golden State. Golden State just never loses at home. I mean, it's basically like playing at the wherever Duke played. That's what it's like for Golden
Cameron
State.
Indoor.
Yeah, I was thinking. Yeah, exactly what it's like. It's like a college atmosphere. I got to go with Golden State since they're at home.
All right, we'll just hold that. We'll hold you accountable there. But I think OKC is the team that beats the Golden State Warriors if they do end up meeting in a series. I'm big on Durant and Westbrook. Westbrook's my favorite player in the league, so it's kind of a homer pick in a sense. But I think OKC could definitely take the Golden State Warriors just because they can kind of match their shooting ability. I think the thing with the Warriors is when you get them down or when they're shooting, when they're not on from a distance, kind of like they were with the Knicks.
Which is rare.
Yeah, which is rare. But in those games, you have to take the lead. And the Pelicans kind of did that in Game 3 of the first round series last year. I remember telling my dad this, like, all right, when Curry's in the game, you have to just keep it even. As soon as he gets out, as soon as Steve Kerr pulls Curry for his regular break, you have to build up a lead, and it has to be big enough to where you can withstand a major run because you know it's coming with them because they shoot incredible.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like it's so self-defeating. Is like, say Curry's out of the game and you can't get a run going against like Sean Livingston and those guys, then you know there's got to be something going in the back of your mind like, oh, we're done. Like, if we can't do this with Curry and Thompson, those guys out of the game, what the heck are we gonna do when they come back in the game? It just they've got such a psychological hold on every team in the league. It's something I've never seen before in the NBA.
And then you think about it and the fact that, oh, Curry could have a bad game. He could start off cold, and then you got to worry about Klay Thompson or Draymond Green, coming in and lighting it up. I mean, Green's racking up triple-doubles. Klay can go for 30 points in any quarter. So, and there's plenty of other players in that team that they all can handle the ball. They can all make plays, and they all can score. So,
The thing is,
they're
too,
really tough.
Klay and Steph, even if they're not shooting well off the dribble, they use their screens, and Steve Kerr has such nice plays like pin downs and elevator screens for them that they always get open looks. It always seems like these guys are open when I feel like a cardinal sin would be do not leave Curry or Thompson. But when you're watching these games, you always find them taking open shots. It's bizarre.
Yeah, and they're all such great playmakers too, and they're all so unselfish. They're always looking for the best shot. Granted, Curry's a star and Thompson is a star. They're going to take tough shots because that's just what stars do. But they're all unselfish and they're all in for the big picture and for the and that it's crazy to watch them because I've never seen any team like that. I mean, it's like the perfect. If I could imagine a perfect basketball team, that's what it would be. A team that is all playmakers, can all play defense, can all shoot. They're the perfect basketball team. If they get KD this summer, they're going to be the best team for another 10 years.
They have an NBA level pickup team. Like that's if you're just going to your local rec center, that's what you want. You want everyone to be able to shoot, everyone to be able to pass, everyone to be able to play without the ball. They have a glorified like all-star pickup team.
It's funny you mentioned Durant going there possibility. To match the Warriors small ball lineup, I heard Billy Donovan say he would consider putting Kevin Durant at center.
Wow, that would be crazy. I mean, their best lineup, I think, has been with KD at the 4. But in offensive, their best lineup has been with, I think, KD at the 4. Maybe it's KD at the 3, but then maybe Enes Kanter. But that would be crazy to watch. I mean, I don't think KD, he's long, but I don't think he can bang with Draymond Green. I think their best lineup is with Ibaka on Green and then having KD at the 4.
Yeah, I like that too.
All right, John, a tough topic for you to talk about. I know your Knicks started the new year off hot. They had the wins against 2 wins, I think, against Atlanta. They beat the Heat, but things are not looking good in New York right now. I know they're on a losing streak. What's going on?
I mean, a number of things. We're just not a good. Bottom line, we're not a good team. I think people like Charles Barkley picking us to make the playoffs, and I'm looking at our roster. I'm like, how do you think? Maybe last year we could have made it, or a couple years ago. But how do you think we're gonna make the playoffs when teams like Detroit are young and getting better? Like Boston, same thing. Indiana, all these teams are young and getting better, and the Knicks are kind of just like replacing poor players with players who are a little bit better. I think another big thing is the offense is so inconsistent. If you go on a game-to-game basis, the triangle relies on reacting and kind of like everybody being synchronized and in a rhythm. And so there's games where you can tell the players just aren't on the same page. They're not in a rhythm. It's just going to be one on-ball or one dribble handoff after another with Lopez at the top of the key. And, it's Gallo or Calderon saying like, they're just nobody's on the same page. And it looks like a bunch of puzzle pieces scrapped out on the table, but nobody knows where to put them. And like at times, I know Derek Fisher says they don't run plays, but at times I feel like you need to have a backup plan. And speaking of Derek Fisher, I almost think that maybe he needs to go. I think Fisher has potential to be a good coach, but I think one of the issues they have is that on a game-to-game basis, a lot of times like we saw against Detroit and then last night against Memphis, I think the game before that too, I know they went down like 10-0. I can't remember who it was against, but it might have been Boston. But they start out slow, and it's like when you can't get your guys motivated on a game-to-game basis, that starts with the head coach. These guys are grown men, and it takes a head coach to motivate these guys and to motivate the locker room to go out and play every night. I got a bunch of points laid out here, so I'm just kind of going through my bullet points. And then my next one is.
Let me stop you before you move on to your next point. You think it's the coach's job to motivate professional athletes who are getting paid to play basketball?
I think it is a big part of the head coach to do that. I think that's the reason why a lot of coaches don't succeed, is because these guys are getting paid, and I think they might not have a lot of motivation other than, they're getting money. So it's like, what else, if I'm getting paid, then what else do I have to do? I mean, some of these guys are concerned about their legacy, but a lot of guys I feel like aren't. That's why I think the head coach, it's up to him to get these guys motivated to practice every day and to start games out with a lot of energy and excitement and things like that.
Do you think it's they're not motivated, or they're not in the right spots to succeed? Because I can look, if you put me in the post against someone, I'm only 5'9", 150. But if you put me in the post against Nick, who's like 6'3", what are you, Nick? 200, close to 200 pounds?
225.
If you put me in that situation where I have to play this guy in the post, it's gonna look like I'm disinterested because I physically cannot do it. I'm not in the right spot to succeed. So do you think it's that side of the coaching, or do you think it's just strictly motivation, or a combo of both?
No, well, I don't mean motivation in a sense of like these guys just like don't want to play. I think it's more of them getting them ready every game, like getting them mentally prepared at the beginning of every game. Because that's why, because you can see like against Detroit, it was pretty evident. They started out so slow, and then it's almost like they had their backs against the wall, and then like a flip was switched, or a switch was flipped. And I've seen that with so many Knicks games this year and recent, and especially last year when they were horrible. But that it's like they don't actually start to play until their backs are against the wall and they get down by 10, 15 points. It's like, and I feel like that is the coach's job to get guys ready at tip off to battle and to get a good start. But I see what you mean about guys not being in a good spot to succeed. Like, I think a lot of times it's just a lot of issues. Like, a lot of times we still rely too much on Melo going one-on-one, and I like Aflalo in the post, but a lot of times he takes too many threes, and I think Porzingis needs to be in the post and get the ball more, and it's too much of like, just too much dribble handoffs. If I have to see another dribble handoff with Robin Lopez, I'm going to shoot somebody.
No, don't say that. Don't say that on the air.
Part of it is, I mean, the players, if they don't buy into the coaches or what he's preaching or his system, they're not going to really play as hard to go off the bat. And I mean, maybe that they don't like what they're running. Like John's saying, he thinks they run too much dribble handoffs, and I know they're not getting Porzingis the ball enough in clutch time. So hey, the players could see this and they kind of lose confidence in the coach. It's going to be harder for them to go out there and play hard for him, if you know what I mean.
Right. And like Derek Williams has had, I think, January and maybe the second half of December, he's been doing pretty good. He started off slow, but he's been our best bench player, him and Galloway, sometimes Thomas. But he's an effective scorer, and he's one of the few guys that can get to the rim. Him and Galloway, and sometimes Grant, too. They're the only guys that can really get to the rim. And it's like, why are you going to only play him 15 minutes last night against Memphis? I just don't get that. Those are the kind of moves that Derek Fisher makes where it's still like it's like you're a year and a half into coaching. It's like I just feel like you should figure these things out like right now where – a guy like Derek Williams could come in and he could guard someone like Jeff Green and they could go one-on-one. I think I just don't understand some of the moves that Derek Fisher makes. Like, there was no Lance Thomas last night. There was no Melo. It's like, why doesn't Derek Williams play like 28 minutes last night? I don't get that.
And, I mean, Derek Williams brings a lot of energy. I mean, personally, I've known he's thrown some of the top dunks down this season in the NBA. He's thrown down some crazy stuff getting to the rim. So you kind of want those players on the floor, especially when you have these games where you're getting off cold. You need someone to kind of spice things up. And like you said, he's versatile. He can match up with some of these tweeners, 3 and 4s. So, yeah, I know fans have complained about his rotation.
So I know you guys mentioned that the Knicks had started out the new year strong, and the Knicks were screaming, the New York fans are screaming championship. What are they screaming now? What's the fan outlook right now, John?
We're going to get Jeff Teague.
There was a lot of Nick hype about Jeff Teague.
We just need Jeff Teague will be a championship. It's like, shut up. I mean, realistically, we don't have anything to trade. We don't have any assets. I think a lot of Knicks fans are saying stuff like that, like, we just need a big trade. But being a Knicks fan, being a level-headed Knicks fan, I always say I'm the only one in the world. Actually, Jared Farrar from Entourage, I heard him on a podcast. He's also level-headed. So me and him are the only two level-headed Knicks fans. But I think they have nothing really to trade unless you want to kind of just go the whole young route and trade Melo for something and get some picks. But they just don't really have anything to trade. I feel like this is what they're going to be for the whole year, besides maybe a couple small pieces being moved, but nothing major. They just don't have enough to make major moves right now. So unless they figure it out, there's a little shot of them making the playoffs. I think the ESPN said they have like a 1.8% chance of making the playoffs after that loss to Detroit the other night. So they have little shot to really make any noise other than competing and keeping fans optimistic for next year.
I think a trade to Houston, a Melo trade to Houston would be fascinating.
I agree.
I think the Knicks are kind of pressured, and even that there's like a fan pressure too because Carmelo's getting older. If you move Carmelo, all that pressure is gone, and you might even be around the same team that you are with Carmelo. So I don't want to say move him because he brings people to Madison Square, but you have Porzingis to do that. You can build around Porzingis. I don't know if you trust him yet in order to do that, but it's a possibility, and it kind of also takes the pressure off Phil, Derek Fisher, and kind of just around everyone else. And there's like a nervous energy because there's not going to be – the Knicks aren't that good, and Carmelo's running out of years. So, that's a possibility, just like a mental thing that they could probably do.
Well, I mentioned to John off the podcast, we talked a little bit. I know this rumor's been floating around, Melo for Blake.
Yeah, I just don't think anything like that is possible. I don't think the Clippers make the move. Melo would be a really good fit alongside CP3, and it would be so great to see. I've always been a huge Melo fan. It would be so great to see him with an actual point guard because he got Chauncey Billups towards the end of his career. He got Jason Kidd when it was like his last year, and then he got Allen Iverson, who's not even really a point guard. So it's like I'd love to see him play with a legitimate all-star point guard for the first time in his career, with an all-star point guard in his prime.
Jeff Teague.
Jeff Teague. Yeah, and then it's just like I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen because I think the Clippers realize, we're getting Melo with 3 years and a player or 2 years and a player option left on his deal. And he's 32 years old. He's already shown signs of knee issues again this year. So I don't know if any major deal happens because he's got that no trade clause. So the only places he would want to go, maybe a place like the Clippers, or I don't think he'd want to go to Houston. I don't know where he'd want to go. Maybe the Clippers to play with Bron. I don't know. Or not the Cavaliers.
Yeah. The Cavs to play with LeBron. LeBron couldn't get anyone to come there the first time. I don't think he's getting anyone besides who he has now to come there the second time.
There's no shot Carmelo wants to go to Cleveland.
You think Miami would have any interest in him? I know that's been like a rumor out there as well.
Yeah, there was something that Bill Simmons had something on his podcast before the season started. He thought of a trade. It was like Justice Winslow, I want to say Luol Deng, and Josh McRoberts for Carmelo. I think that would be a really interesting move, especially if they maybe swung Whiteside and just did a lineup of like Bosh, Melo, and then you have I don't know who would play the three. Maybe Deng or Deng would be traded. I don't know who would play the three, but yeah, maybe Green, or if you traded Whiteside for something.
No, as a Miami fan, hell no.
Yeah, but I just think though if they could trade Whiteside, or you could always just keep Melo at the three.
I'll keep Whiteside.
Yeah, he's not doing a bad job with the three this year. That would be an incredible starting five. Dragic, Wade, Melo, Bosh, and then Whiteside. That would be a really good starting five.
I still think that based on that, I still think the books would be – I haven't looked at the books, but I think it'd still be difficult to re-sign Whiteside without Dwayne Wade taking a pay cut for next year. So I don't know how long that would last if they do in fact make that trade. But as a Knicks fan, I would want that trade.
Yes, I like Winslow. I think he's got a bright future.
Winslow is an elite defender. If he can just find a jump shot, man. Even like right now, if any of these dudes can shoot from the outside, like Miami was the first team this year to win without shooting a three-pointer, without making a three-pointer. It was just a couple of nights ago.
Yeah, I think I saw something about that. That's wild.
That doesn't happen in this league.
That's
Miami
80s basketball.
Which is funny because I know I just a quick preview, but Chris Bosh is in the 3-point contest. So
Yeah.
make of that what you will.
Yeah. Yep, Knicks, we're destined for failure every year, so I'm not getting my hopes up. It was like I was watching Modern Family last night. I don't know if you guys watch it, but it's the episode where Phil wants it's his birthday and he wants the iPad, and
Yeah,
his wife, Claire doesn't get the iPad for him, and so he's like all depressed. He's like basically saying, "Oh, I'm not getting excited about anything." He's like, "Nope." No, he's like not getting his hopes up, and that's exactly how I feel about the Knicks every year.
You're
Yeah.
you're one of the only ones, man. A
Yeah.
friend of mine mentioned to me that, yo, the Knicks are, this was like a couple weeks ago. It's like, yo, the Knicks are looking good. All we need now is Tony Roten Jr. and we're coming for that championship. I was like, bro, what? What? You want a player that the Sixers just got rid of? And
Yeah.
he's gonna lead you to a championship? He's completing your team? Come on now.
That's the kind of stuff this fan base has to deal with. One time I was playing basketball with someone and he was just talking about Rondo and like, oh, we need Rondo, man. I was like, dude, Rondo and Melo together would be absolutely horrible. Those are two ball dominant players. I don't know what you think is gonna. It was So that's the kind of stuff that I have to deal with as being a fellow Knicks fan.
Yeah. The only thing I'm not looking forward to on Super Bowl Sunday is talking to Knicks fans. So.
It's not all bad for the Knicks. They do have Kristaps Porzingis, which leads us right into games of the week. Non-traditional games of the week. No actual NBA games, but we do have an All-Star edition of games of the week. And I want picks for all these games, guys. So let's just get right into it. The first event, excluding the celebrity game, which I always watch on ESPN right before this. I find the celebrity game hilarious.
Yeah.
But the first game, Friday, the 12th at 9, the BBVA Compass Rising Stars Challenge, and this is a rookie-sophomore game, as you guys know. But now they split it up not by rookies and sophomores, but they do it by USA and the world. So it's Donald Trump's playground right here. It's perfect for him.
Oh, God.
The USA team consists of Jordan Clarkson from the Lakers, Rodney Hood of the Jazz, Zach LaVine from the Timberwolves, Nerlens Noel of the Sixers, Jahlil Okafor from the Sixers, Jabari Parker from the Bucks, Elfrid Payton from the Magic, D'Angelo Russell from the Lakers, Marcus Smart from the Celtics, and Karl Anthony Towns, who's probably the best player in this group, from the Timberwolves. The world team consists of Bojan Bogdanovic from Knicks Brooklyn Nets, Clint Capella from Houston, Mario Hezonja, who's my favorite rookie, too bad he doesn't get any run, from Orlando, Nikola Jokic from Denver, Trey Lyles, who's from Utah, who's taking the place of Nikola Mirotic, who's out with an injury, and Mirotic plays on the Bulls, Manuel Mudiay from the Nuggets, Raul Neto from the Jazz, the Knicks own Kristaps Porzingis, Dwight Powell from the Mavericks, and Andrew Wiggins from the Timberwolves. Who do you think takes this game, guys?
Wait, so how does Devin Booker not make the U.S. team? Or
Alright,
Justice
so
Winslow? I'm sorry. I don't want to get on something else. But how does that happen?
All right, so who do you here? I'll read the USA names again. Who are you taking out? Because I think Justice Winslow should have gotten in. Maybe
Yes.
even Tyler Johnson. Tyler Johnson's hurt now, so it wouldn't. He doesn't have a case anymore. But I agree with those two. Even someone like T.J. Warren had a case,
Right.
but he got hurt as well. I think he's done for the year. But who do you take out? Clarkson, Hood, Levine, Noel, Okafor, Parker, Payton, Russell, Smith, or Towns?
I take out Peyton and Clarkson.
Interesting.
I would
take out
keep
Levine.
Levine just for the showmanship factor. The fact that he's going to get probably 10 sick dunks. That's the only reason why I keep Levine. But Clarkson, sure, he's a good player. And Peyton, whatever, he's fine. But Booker is probably the best young shooter in the game. Besides, not named in terms of rookie, maybe second-year guys. He's the best shooter. Justice Winslow has potential to be a star. He's probably the best young defender in this game. Maybe along with Hollis Jefferson. It's like, how are those two guys not on the team? And how is Raul Neto on the world team? There's got to be someone better than him.
No, Raul Neto. That guy just looks like outmatched every night.
He looks like Justin Bieber, the Brazilian Justin Bieber, starting for the Utah Jazz at point guard.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but I agree with you, man. Like, I don't think Levine should be on here. Levine's had a last a good last couple of weeks, but other than that, like, what do you know Zach LaVine for? Dunking? You don't know anything else about Zach LaVine in terms of his play on the court in an NBA game. All you know about him is that he can dunk.
Right. And that's why people want to see him, though. That's why he's on the
I get that. But don't worry, you'll see him in the actual slam dunk contest. I'm not trying to watch him do this. Like even last year, his best dunk in the game, he double dribbled on. Like, come on. Do you remember that? You know what I'm talking about here?
I don't remember, but I'm not.
He came from the right side, picked up his dribble, took another dribble, and then as he's drifting left, slammed it home with his right hand as he's coming across the paint. Like, they showed it in our highlights, but I'm like, come on, man. Like, I know it's an all-star game or like a young all-star game, but you can't just blatantly double dribble like that. So yeah, that's how I feel about Zach LaVine. Also, just a quick promo. I personally hate Zach LaVine through no fault of his own. But actually, it's all his fault, man. But there's a roundtable article up on OTGbasketball.com, which when a couple of our writers just take a look at their most hated players in the league. So definitely check that out. But moving on, did you guys pick the winner? Did you guys say the world?
So I'm going to say the world just because Porzingis is on the team. I'm going to say the world just to represent for my man Porzingis. Porzingis.
It's tough. I guess I'll go with the world as well. I want to pick the USA, but I feel like the world just has some better players.
A lot of really good matchups. You know, like Porzingis and Towns. I'm really excited, or Okafor. Both of those. I'm excited about that matchup right there.
Don't sleep on Nikola Jokic either.
Jokic can ball. Jokic is good. I like me some Jokic. I got him on my fantasy team.
And I know we didn't mention this earlier, but I'm not going to make any picks anymore. John, you're just going to take over my record. And Nick, you're just going to hopefully better your shitty record because it's pretty bad right now.
Yeah.
We still have from last week, I went 2-2. Nick, you went 1-3. That brings our overall record. So John, you're starting out at 41-24. Nick, you're at 32-33. When we do our next podcast, the game tonight, the OKC Golden State game will also be reflected on these. But just to make sure, John, you're with the world, and Nick, you're with the world too in the BBVA Rising Stars Challenge.
Correct.
All right, let's get on to All-Star Saturday night in the Taco Bell Skills Challenge. We have the defending champion, Patrick Beverley from the Rockets, C.J. McCollum from the Trailblazers, Isaiah Thomas from the Celtics, and Jordan Clarkson from the Lakers. And we have some big men this year, which will be interesting. I hope they keep the same format that they did last year. But we have Karl Anthony Towns from the Wolves and from Kentucky, Anthony Davis from the Pelicans and from Kentucky, DeMarcus Cousins from the Kings and Kentucky, and then Draymond Green from the Dubs.
Wait, I saw something that did you say Anthony Davis?
I did say Anthony Davis.
I thought I saw something about Steph Curry's going to be in it too.
The official release from Turner was were these 8. I think Steph Curry is trying to repeat as the 3-point contest champion. He'll be in that.
Yeah, I knew that. I thought I saw something today saying he was going to do the skills competition too. Maybe I was a misprint or something. I don't know. So is the format just winner takes all? Are they doing like big men versus big men, or
So I feel like one of these. I don't know how exactly they'll split them up, but since there are 4 guards and 4 big men, if they go with the format that they did last year, a big man and a guard will be matched up together. And then it's like a knockout sort of single elimination sort of tournament. So it's a relay race. So let's say, for example, it would be Patrick Beverley and Karl Anthony Towns against C.J. McCollum and Anthony Davis. They both complete the court, or they complete the obstacles and then hand the ball off, and the other person will do the same. I believe that's how it went last year. And then eventually, I think the final 2, I think the teammates will end up going against each other if they make it to the finals. Or I think it might be you have teams of 2, and then eventually they'll split up once the first 2 teams get knocked out to make it like a semifinal sort of thing.
Okay. I'm going to go with I love Isaiah Thomas. I'm going to go with Isaiah Thomas. I think he'll be fun to watch in this thing, I think. Or I do love McCollum too, but I think I'm going to go with Thomas.
I'm just going to go with Draymond Green. I don't know why. I just feel like he's going to win.
I was about to go with Draymond Green too, but yeah. The Warriors have won enough already.
True.
Hopefully Anthony Davis doesn't get hurt running up and down the court.
Yeah.
Or blow a dunk.
Yeah, or blow a dunk that could have helped them win a game against the Lakers. Anthony Davis, come on, man. All right, so Isaiah Thomas for John, Draymond Green for Nick. That's a bold pick there. Not picking a guard. All right, Foot Locker 3-point contest right after this the skills challenge. We have the champion Steph Curry from the Warriors, Klay Thompson from the Warriors, so both Splash Brothers are represented. James Harden from the Rockets, JJ Redick from the Clippers, Chris Bosh from the Miami Heat, Kyle Lowry from the Toronto Raptors, hometown Toronto Raptors, Chris Middleton from the Bucks, and the best young shooter in the game, Devin Booker from the Suns.
I mean, I like Steph and Clay. They have easy strokes. But I don't want to pick a Warrior. I just feel like it's the easy pick. I'm gonna go with Chris Middleton. He's got an easy stroke too. It just look kind of like effortless, high release. I think kind of worried about whether or not he'll be able to get all his shots off because he's got the high release. But he's got a smooth stroke. I think he'll get it off and won't get too fatigued by the end. So I'm gonna go with Chris Middleton.
I'm going to go with Steph Curry. I'm going to make the easy pick.
That's the easy pick. So
That's the easy pick. I mean, this kid hits shots crazy in games. I mean, when he's sitting there, no one's defending him. He's just having a good time. He's going to hit all of them almost.
He has such a quick release and such a effortless stroke that I feel like if he wanted to shoot, what does he shoot? Is it 30 shots?
That sounds about right.
25 shots, something like that. Whatever it is, he could shoot like 40 shots within that minute.
Yeah,
it'd be all good.
Yeah, it's just
so
so quick.
Time remaining. It's so effortless. It's so quick. I think Steph's the easy pick here, but Clay has a prettier shot in my opinion. I think President Obama said that as well. So I personally, it's hard to go against Steph. So I'm kind of with Nick on this one. All right, the Verizon Slam Dunk, which is right after the 3-point contest. Champion Zach LaVine from the Timberwolves will look to defend against Aaron Gordon from the Magic, Will Barton from the Nuggets, and Andre Drummond as the lone 7-footer. I don't think he's 7 foot. As the lone big man from the Pistons.
I'm going with Will the Thrill Barton. I got him in my fantasy team. He has been a pleasant surprise this year. He's like one of the last few street ballers in the NBA. I was watching his YouTube highlights. He just got videos of him doing all kinds of it was like a lockout game or something. He was just he weighs like 160 pounds. He looks like he should be on like the M1 mixtape tour. He's doing just sick hesitation moves. He's got some bunnies though. He's had some nice dunks this year. I'm gonna go with Will Barton.
Yeah, Will Barton can play.
Yeah, and he's fun to watch. He's also a great daily fantasy player too. So, but I'm gonna go with Aaron Gordon.
That's a good pick. He's a monster.
Yeah, he's super athletic. I feel like just kind of give everybody a preview of what he can do.
I hate Zach LaVine, but I'm actually really excited to see him in the slam dunk contest. I hope he doesn't do the between the legs again. I think he did that 3 times out of the 4 dunks last year. I get it, you can do that. Let's see something else.
Well, they said he didn't even do his best dunk last year. So
which is exciting.
I'm wondering what that is. I'm hoping this. I don't know if he's going to do this every year because it's kind of like his namesake, and I feel like it's going to keep him around the league just because he can be in the dunk contest every year. But I would love to see him pull out like a 360 between the legs or something. That would be incredible.
I really was hoping someone could do the Dwight Howard tip dunk where he tips it off the backboard to himself.
Yeah,
I was hoping someone could do that and do like
Drummond
a 360 with it. How dope would that be?
Drummond could definitely do that.
You think he could do that with the 360?
I don't know. I don't see Drummond. He's got the power and he's got some elevation, but I don't think he's got the aerodynamics to pull off a 360 like that. I think Aaron Gordon could.
He could do that specific dunk that I'm looking to see, but just because he's more of a 1-footed leaper. But I know Aaron Gordon can really get off 2 feet. I think it'd have to be a 2-foot jumper.
Aaron Gordon's got some Blake Griffin, Sean Kemp type dunking at him.
Yeah.
He's gonna throw down some sick dunks, I think.
Yeah, I think this is a much better field than it was last year. So props on the NBA and for these players for participating in that.
I hope the format is just better. I don't know. I guess last year wasn't terrible, But as long
Last
as
year
it's
was
not
bad.
that,
The year before, when John Wall was the dunker of the night,
absolutely
that
horrible.
was
Yeah, that was trash.
I thought that format had promise, but it just didn't.
It was just
It just didn't
terrible.
work.
I didn't know what was going on. I just felt I just didn't know what was happening.
I feel like it almost kind of has to be like a dunk and then, oh my God, what did he just do? Let me take that in. Let me watch replays instead of, oh, next dunk. Oh, next dunk. I think that was the downside of what was going on with that kind of format. It was a good idea because everyone loves the warm-up dunks, but I think in this sort of event, like the crowd isn't as live as it used to be. I don't know. Is it just me or do you guys see that too? Like the crowd is just not
Yeah.
really that into it.
I mean, when you see a dunk contest, it's like how many dunks can someone do? I mean,
Right.
I just think it's losing its vigor. I think that's all it is. It's like I almost get more. I don't want to say more excited, but I almost get just as excited watching the 3-point contest now.
Yep,
It's just the
three-point
dunk
contest. That's
yeah,
where it's
the dunk contest just isn't what it used to be because we've all seen these dunks. We just need like Zach LaVine, I think helped it a lot last year, but we need someone like Vince Carter to come out with the showmanship and actually have sick dunks and be a big name. I think that would really help. We need big names, and I think that would help a lot.
And something different. I mean, how many times have we seen the same dunk? You know what I mean? Like creativity, they need to spice things up because every year it seems like, oh, that guy did it last year. Or like, I mean, obviously it's hard though. Like, how many dunks can you really come up with? And I think you're right with the big names. Like that definitely would help if you had like Russell Westbrook in there.
Oh my God, yeah, Russ West would be.
Yeah, I wish he would have done it. He would have. That man's an enigma. I love watching him.
Yeah, that would be just awesome.
Who would your guys like if you could pick? I guess any contestants in the dunk contest you're ideal for. Who would it be?
From the current NBA group?
Yes, from the current group.
Oh God, Nick, do you want to go first on this?
I'm sure. I guess I could go first. I mean, I guess I'd go with Westbrook. I'd like to see Blake Griffin back in there. Levine's done enough in the dunk contest that I'd want to see him back in there again. The fourth guy, that would be hard because it's probably like somebody who's not a huge name, but he's just super athletic. I'll give you 3 for now. Come back to me for the fourth.
So for me, I would probably go Zach LaVine. Just because it's in Toronto, I'd probably go Terrence Ross. I'd be okay with seeing him in the dunk contest again.
Okay.
I like Aaron Gordon being in there.
I do too.
And then my fourth would be Russ. There has to be a superstar.
My thing with Russ though is like, is he one of those guys who kind of feeds off the game and like maybe he's just more of like a game dunker as opposed to being a guy who will throw down some crazy dunks in a dunk contest?
Yeah, but I would totally just want like one of the other dunk contest participants to try to go and block his dunk. Like Russ, you can just do a normal tomahawk, but if someone's gonna try to block you, I'm in for that over you trying to do a dunk against nobody. Like I'm totally for Russell Westbrook just getting a fan or something. Yo, try and block me. Let me dunk on you. Or let me try and dunk on you. I would totally be for that.
It's like they take the top shot blockers in the NBA, and then Westbrook's like, all right, let me try to dunk on
That's for each round. I'm gonna try to get one of you guys on a poster.
It's like Drummond, Gobert, Whiteside.
I would be down for that.
That'd be awesome. But the bigs would never want to do it because there's a good chance they're gonna end up on a poster.
Yeah, I think that was actually Bill Simmons' proposal. Was just have like a guy like Gobert stand there and just have someone just dunk over him, and just who can have the sickest like poster dunks.
So like I'm working on a slam dunk reform, and I'll just give you like a quick preview of it. So out of last year, how many dunks do you actually remember that like will stick with you? Like, oh yeah, that was the year I saw this dunk and this dunk. John, do you have a number or?
I remember trying to think. I remember Oladipo's 540 half 540 thing with the whole like singing Frank Sinatra. I remember LaVine dunk with the Toon Squad jersey, and he had he had like two or three between the legs. I remember like 3 dunks. I think. I mean, that's about it.
Right. So. Nick, how many do you remember from last year?
I feel like I really don't remember the dunks that much. More so like the props, like you mentioned, Oladipo, and then LaVine with the shirt. So
okay, so same. I remember the exact same 3 that John remembers: the LaVine behind the back,
yes,
LaVine,
and between the legs,
Toon Squad, and the Oladipo. What would it be? Like a 4, not a 360.
Is it a 470?
Like a 4, yeah, something like
470. Yeah.
Whatever the hell it was.
No, 270. I don't know what it. 450.
Yeah,
Maybe that's
whatever.
what it is.
In between a 360 and a 540, whatever the hell that is. But yeah, I remember those, and then that's it. I only
Mm-hmm.
remember those three. So my proposal would be, let's have 6 guys, and you can vote. I don't want fan vote being a determining factor on who wins, but I like fan vote in
Fan
terms
votes
of
would never be a determining factor. Sorry, go ahead.
no. I mean, it has been in the past. Like you would vote in the final round to see which dunker should win, but I hate that.
I
feel
agree.
like,
Yes,
I feel
hate
like
it
that
too.
deters people from people like LeBron who have so much more to lose by entering this just because if you have haters that want to vote against him, they have the option to do that regardless of his performance, and that only hurts his brand. So I get why he doesn't do it, for if that is a reason why. But a fan vote could be really interesting if you use it to before the contest and just say, all right, who do you think will win the slam dunk contest, and you use that as seeding. So the person with the highest votes gets the first seed, second vote gets second seed, right? Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right,
Okay.
so with 6 players, you obviously need some buys. So the top 2 seeds get buys, and then what would it be? 4 and 5 and 3 and 6 squaring off in like a tournament sort of bracket format. Each of them
Okay.
gets 1 dunk each. Because I hate having these guys do multiple dunks. That's when it gets bland and boring, and that's when you got to go safe just to make it to the next round. If you give them 1 dunk and they have to beat someone else's dunk, they're going to do their best stuff. So even with that, there would be 3 total rounds. So for the top 2 seeds, if they do win their first round and get to the finals, that's 2 dunks total. For the guys that don't have a bye, they do 3 dunks total. So in that sense, there aren't that many dunks, but the dunks that they do have really matter, and we also don't get the same dunks over and over. We get everyone's best stuff. So I think that's a proposal I'll elaborate more on, and you'll see it on OTG Basketball sometime this week.
We're gonna have to send that to the NBA.
Yeah, dude. I mean, obviously I don't know the specifics on what these participants get and if they're compensated financially, what the winner gets. I don't know all of that information, but just based on format itself, I think this would be an interesting way to spice it up, especially after watching the home run derby this year, which is I haven't seen it in like the last 10, 15 years, and this home run derby was awesome. Like that's one of the two things I remember from this MLB season. That and the 7th inning in Toronto when they played the Houston Astros. So that's a long tangent. We have one more pick to make. Let's get right onto it. The 65th annual NBA All-Star Game, Sunday night, 8:30 on TNT. The East roster: Carmelo Anthony from the Knicks, Paul George from the Pacers, LeBron James from the Cavs, Kyle Lowry from the hometown Raptors, Dwayne Wade from the Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler from the Chicago Bulls, but he looked like he got hurt a couple days ago, and it looked pretty bad, so I don't know if he'll still be able to participate. They haven't announced anything about a replacement, so asterisk next to him. John Wall from the Wizards, Drummond from the Pistons, Chris Bosh from the Heat, DeRozan from the Raptors, Paul Millsap from the Hawks, and Isaiah Thomas from the Celtics. And in the West, we have Kobe Bryant from the Lakers, Kawhi Leonard from the Spurs, Kevin Durant, OKC Thunder, Stephen Curry, the Warriors, Russell Westbrook from the Thunder, Draymond Green from the Warriors, Klay Thompson from the Warriors, Chris Paul from the Clips, James Harden from the Rockets, Cousins from the Kings, Aldridge from the Spurs, and Anthony Davis, the Brow, from the Pelicans. Who wins this game?
I'm gonna go with the East because Melo starting at small forward. If Butler doesn't play, can we please get Kemba Walker in there? Please.
I'm good with that.
That's my only plea. I got to see Kemba in the All-Star game. He'd be him and Isaiah Thomas on the floor together would be fun to watch.
That would be fun.
I'm gonna go with the West. I just feel like Steph Curry and the Warriors. I don't know. I'm feeling like I'm picking them for everything, but I don't know. I just feel like it's carrying over. They'll have Draymond Green, then Kawhi's in there. There's just a lot of shooting on that side.
Real quick, guys, MVP pick.
Ooh,
Is anyone picking Kobe? Is anyone going out on a limb and picking Kobe?
did MJ didn't win MVP when it was his final year, right? The year that Vince Carter gave up his spot, he didn't win it. Okay,
No, he hit that baseline shot to win it.
that's right. Yeah,
Supposedly win it, and then Jermaine O'Neal fouled Kobe Bryant on a 3-point attempt.
Okay.
And eventually Kobe hit 2 out of 3 and sent it to overtime, so Jordan's shot didn't really count like that. But do you think there's a Kobe moment like that in this game?
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. I think the Mamba is just so horrible in clutch. He hasn't been good in the clutch in like 6 years, I feel like.
Hit that big time shot against the Pelicans on Thursday night.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. I mean, it could happen, but I think MVP. I'm trying to think of who might want to make a statement in this game. I don't know. That's a tough choice. What's the starting lineup again for the East? I got to go with someone from the East.
Melo, yeah, you do since you picked them to win. Melo,
Yeah.
Paul George, LeBron James, Kyle Lowry, Dwayne Wade. You think any of the Toronto kids,
Oh,
guys,
okay.
Lowry or DeRozan, takes it home?
Okay. I think I'll go with the hometown kid. I'll go with Lowry. I think Lowry could have a big game. I don't know.
I think Kevin Durant's going to want to make a statement.
Yeah, I agree. I could see that for sure. He didn't play last year, so. Oh, he did play? Yeah, he did. Okay.
He did play. He just got mad criticism for it because he only played a couple of games
Yeah, him
leading
and
into
Melo
it.
Melo both got demolished by the media.
Yeah. That's fan vote for you, though. Like, I'm happy KD was in the game last year, even though he probably
Right.
didn't deserve to be because
Yeah.
of his play for that season. But
Yeah.
how do you leave the second best player in the league out?
Yeah, and Melo didn't deserve to be either, but it's like it's in New York. I mean, you got to have
That's true.
the
Yep.
Knicks icon be on the team. You have to, regardless of how many games he's playing. If he's healthy to play, he's got to play.
Yeah, there should always be at least one host.
Yes.
That's all I had for games of the week, guys.
All right, sounds good. Everybody enjoy their All-Star weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl. And thanks for listeing. We'll talk to you next week.
Do we make our Super Bowl picks?
Oh,
Let's do that real quick before we head out, just so we have it on record. I'm personally going. I want you to give your team and the score. I'm gonna go with the Panthers. 30. We'll go 30-27 Panthers.
Ooh, that's a close one. Okay,
I want it to be a close one. I hope it's a close.
I do too. Last year's Super Bowl is gonna be tough to. That's some high standards. It's gonna be tough to live up to. I'm gonna go with the Broncos because I want to see Peyton go out on top. I feel like it's his last year. I'm gonna say 20. I mean, he's got to put up a lot of points to beat them. I think. Is it possible that maybe like 17-10? Do you think the Broncos can hold the Panthers to 10 points?
I mean, I think the Broncos defense is, a lot of people have said it's one of the best in
It's
history.
legendary.
And they're not catching a lot of hype, so I think they're a little bit pissed off about that.
I agree. Yeah, Wade Phillips has got them playing some good defense. I'm going to go 17-10 Broncos.
I'm going to go with the upset as well. I know a lot of people think it's not even going to be a close game. Carolina's going to demolish them. But I think DeMarcus Ware and Von Miller have something to say about that. I don't know if Cam's really had to deal with a pass rush like that all season. Von Miller's probably the one, I know I'm getting really in-depth on this, the one defensive lineman really, or outside, like pass rusher that can really run with Cam. He's probably the fastest one out there. So I think that's going to give Cam a little bit of a problem. I'm going to go 23-21 Broncos.
Okay.
There you have it. Some NBA guys talking football, and we still have no idea what the hell we're talking about. So
off the glass turned into off the field goal post for a second there.
There you go.
That's all we have for the podcast this week. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at OTG Basketball. Like the podcast, whether it's on iTunes, SoundCloud, or YouTube, and just subscribe. Share it, comment, do whatever you need to do, man. Get us out there. Thank you. Appreciate it. See you next week.